Now, welcome to another Let's Talk Some Bad Batch, where this time it'll be the 13th episode of Season 3, also called Into the Breach. And we'll be discussing it by looking at and responding to some of the comments left on my review over on the other channel. But before we do any of that, we need your ever so brief review of this episode.
There were some definite interesting points within this episode. I liked that the reason Tantus is hard to find is an actual reason it's hard to find, because something beams the coordinates while you're en route.
Yeah, right into your Navi computer.
Right, so nobody knows the coordinates because you get sent the coordinates and then they're scrubbed out of your computer.
Yeah,
so I like that the reason we haven't been able to find Tantus makes sense.
I do too, because I had a real problem early in the season when they escaped Tantus in a ship and are like, we didn't look at the coordinates for Tantus. We didn't see where we came from.
I have no idea how to get there.
Yeah. So I guess that is explained. It is explained why everybody has such a hard time. Why Rex, the boys who are supposedly looking for Tantus, can't find it, and Echo hasn't been able to find it. So I'm glad that got a good explanation.
I am hoping that the batch, when they get where they're headed, aka Tantus, that they're able to send a message out to Rex and them, and
it needs to be a big party for the finale, right?
It does. I think we need to make a big to-do of, are we actually going to be able to save the clones? Or is this going to be a real tragic tale for them?
That's a good question.
Because there aren't a lot of clones in the future.
No. The only one we've seen two. We've seen Kix in the far future, because he has the whole Count Dooku thing, the Treasure of Count Dooku, or whatever it was called, that book. And then we also know, of course, there's the one in Kenobi. Mm-hmm. And, of course, Rex,
Gregor, and Wolf.
Yeah, in Rebels. But other than that, we haven't seen any other clones.
But honestly, I do think we're going to see Wolf turn on the Empire, too, because now we'll see why he's with the others.
That's a good point.
I think there's more clone story to come. We're going to get a big bang finale, and I'm excited for that.
We got a lot to cover, because there's still Clone X, too, who could be Cody or could be a rando new clone.
No, he's nobody.
Yeah,
I hope.
I think he would have had his own episode if he were Cody. Mm-hmm. I think he's just rando clone.
Rando clone is fine.
Which is fine, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see Cody on Tantus.
Imprisoned on Tantus, because he kind of had some doubts about the Empire at one point.
Mm-hmm. And then he just disappeared. Where could he have gone?
Oh, I don't know. He's just another clone, just another number we lost track of. No big deal, right?
Sad but true.
Sad but true.
I wasn't as excited with the Omega portions this week, because it was like, I've got an escape plan because I'm Omega. And it feels like they've done it so many times where Omega's the one with the plan, Omega's gonna...
Okay, yeah.
It's just, I get it. But maybe if they hadn't done it so many times, it wouldn't feel so overused. Not to mention what the deal is with that stupid wall.
The stupid wall? You mean that...
Look, I stuck something into the wall, and I opened it up, and I was like, okay. But then the other piece is falling out like you hit the wrong button in Tetris or something?
It made it look modular, because you even asked that. Well, look how small the bed is. What if they put a tall person in there?
Yeah.
And so you kind of feel like the cubes are modular. You can kind of remove them and make kind of Minecraft, I guess. I don't know. I've never played Minecraft, but you can kind of build it how you need to.
But it was so sad when the pieces just started falling off the wall. I'm like, couldn't they just have smacked the wall at any time and these pieces would have fallen out?
She loosened the one and then the others went with it. I
Come on.
It's tension. You're
if
supposed
the
to
others
feel
were
tension.
so loose that
She
they
made a lot
would
of
just
noise.
fall out.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the fact that she somehow managed to shove them back into place that quickly when they were obviously loose. No, I have problems.
We don't know the true timing of it, right? How long it takes the other doctor to get down there. It's the oldest trick in the book, right? You think she's about to get caught.
And now that Emery is going to be a good doctor, we needed to introduce another doctor to be the bad doctor.
Well, come on. That's standard practice.
We have Hemlock already. We didn't need another one all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Her job is literally going to be, when Emery does something to help the kid, she's the tattletale.
Probably. All right, let's get to some comments.
First comment is from Bendarge. Echo telling Admiral Rampart that he'd been demoted was gold. It's a shame he hasn't been in the show more.
Who? I know, I say that every time we talk about Echo.
I know, I really like Echo. I've always liked Echo. He was always my favorite Bad Batcher.
That's why he's an ARC Trooper.
Yeah. ARC Trooper Echo, reporting for duty. I like that they mistook him for a droid also in the episode. Because
I like that they leaned into that, because it was like season 1. It was like he was
had
kind
him
of
pretend
mad.
to be a droid. Yeah,
and he was not happy about that. Now he's like, I'm a droid. That's fine.
Well, he's got all the hardware to be a droid, I guess.
What kind of hardware does Echo
Don't
have these
go
days?
there.
What? I'm
Don't
just asking. He's got the arm, and
No, you're going to get demoted next.
I would deserve it for going there.
You would go after my favorite clone.
It was funny because we did get to watch this episode together in the morning before you left for work, and we both looked at each other when Echo popped up and like, oh, this is a bad sign. Kind of hoping he wouldn't show up in the final 2 episodes because I don't like his odds.
Yeah. I just want him to not be a casualty. At least not if they're going to make them casualties, and I have a feeling there's a lot of casualties to come.
I do, too.
I want them to mean something.
See, I'm in the opposite boat. One of them needs to die meaninglessly, like, oh, we're going to escape, and I accidentally get shot.
No, I'm talking about the clones in general. I want this to be just another keystone as to the people of the Republic going, maybe the Empire's not great.
No, it's not. This is...
I know it's really early for that.
Yeah.
But this could just be a tiny seed in the minds of at least a few senators, such as like Chuchi, who's pushing for clone rights.
Sure.
That all of a sudden there's a max exodus and the clones are dead.
Yeah, but I don't
Shouldn't
think
some people care?
Some people should. Everybody should care. They fought for the Republic, right? Mm-hmm. They defended the Republic, and now they're kind of discarded veterans, which,
sad.
It's very sad. It's not the only time or place that's ever happened, I suppose. So let's move on to the next comment.
All right, from Aaron Eclipse. The odds of victory aren't in their favor. Number 1, Tech is dead. Number 2, the Marauder is destroyed. Number 3, Crosshair can't aim. Number 4, no reinforcements. Number 5, they're going against dozens of clone commandos with Scorch and tons of TK troopers. They aren't going to survive this. My stress levels are rising high.
Yeah, like we were just kind of talking about.
Hey, they might have reinforcements.
I think there's going to be somehow...
When they get there, why can't they send a message to
Rex
give their location to Rex and his boys?
Yeah.
They could have reinforcements.
I think Rex shows up next week, I think. Or not next week, but probably the following week.
Within the finale area
yeah.
here, yeah.
No, it's been a really down season, hasn't it? Like, things are going wrong. That's why when you watched this episode, you were like, oh, maybe they aren't going to find a way to get to Tantus yet, even though we kind of know they were. It's not like there's a ton of time left to find it another way.
Plus, you want them to find it early enough so that they've got enough time to spend on the finale.
Yes. Plus,
we need to figure out where this is going from here. I mean, whoever survives, we kind of want to know what direction they're heading.
I don't think we're going to get too much of that. I think it's going to be, we'll see who survives, and then I don't know that you really get any hints about where they go next, necessarily.
Here, let me jump off topic for 2 seconds.
Okay.
It's not really off topic. Okay, so we saw in Ahsoka that anyone can be a Jedi, but yet, why isn't Omega a Jedi then?
I kind of talked about this in a video on my channel the other day. That channel you don't watch.
It was just some food for thought I'm putting in.
No, I absolutely agree. It is a kind of conflicting message that in this show it's like, oh, we must have midichlorian blood to do Jedi things, and the other show is like, you don't necessarily need a high count.
Maybe Omega just has a 0 count.
Well, I think you have to remember, like, this is the Sith trying to, like, manipulate midichlorians and do unnatural things, whereas the other show, Ahsoka, is more about the Jedi believing, having faith in things. And we don't know that Sabine's midichlorian count is low. We just know it's not, like, Jedi level high. So she could be relatively high compared to the normal populace out there, if you will.
All right. Let's move on to the next comment.
Yeah, sorry.
Next comment from the Mango Man. I really like how Omega has grown and she's not a kid anymore. She's a soldier and she's helping the other kids, and it's kind of sad when you think about Omega and how her childhood was stolen from her. Yes.
Well, you don't like how Omega was kind of taking charge in this one.
Well,
is it too much?
I sympathize that her childhood was taken from her, but the fact that she's like, hey kids, I've broken out of here before. She has.
Still confidence in the other kids. They're terrified. They've been in here for a while.
I know. Sometimes I find Omega's over optimism a little much.
Yeah,
she's under the assumption right now. She has no reason to not believe that Crosshair successfully landed a tracking beacon and that they're coming. So why is she so concentrated on getting out when she should have faith that they're coming?
I think she would want to get out because she doesn't have to have them come in because that's dangerous, if not deadly. You almost
got the impression, though, this episode, the way she was behaving, that she knew they weren't coming.
I mean, I guess if you got to go under one assumption, you should go under the one where they're not coming, right?
But she's always overly optimistic. She's always, my friends will always come through,
Yes.
So it's weird because it felt like she didn't believe that they were coming. But that's contrary to her character, where she should firmly believe that they are coming.
Yes and no. I get where you're coming from with that.
Next comment from Joe Rock. Rampart's characterization here is perfect. I had wondered if he would try to betray the batch while on the station, but it really wouldn't have made sense. As a former demoted vice admiral, he would be aware of the political ramifications of his scapegoat arrest and imprisonment. Revealing the batch would mean revealing himself, and straight back he would go. To prison, probably into isolation for having escaped once already. Assuming he wasn't accidentally killed during the expectable resulting fight after such a betrayal. The Batch are his only ticket to staying out of prison, so he's stuck with them for now. We'll have to see how things go when they get to Mount Tantus.
Yeah, I really liked our Rampart in this episode.
It was weird that he's like a breath of fresh air for some reason.
Kind of, yeah, because he's just a totally different type of character
right.
than they normally work with.
He still has that smug imperialness, and it hasn't like hit him yet that he isn't ever going back to the Empire. Like, he gets his captain, his uniform on, he's straightening over and over, he's straightening the insignia, like he's proud to be back in the Empire. But it's not going to happen for him, and he has to know. He knows that. He knows it.
He knows. It was kind of his last hurrah, where he got to enjoy it one more time. He even makes a mention, like, "Oh, how I've missed this," when he's like bossing around the lieutenant. I really like him in here, and I've seen a lot of people argue that the Empire would have killed him, and I think the only thing that really keeps him alive is he was kind of like a high-profile case. So as you were kind of talking about before with the Senate and the clones, it might be something people are keeping tabs on. And so they just don't want the complications, so they throw him in a...
To think that if you get in trouble with the Empire, you're just immediately going to disappear into death, probably.
Yeah, if they're willing to kill a vice admiral, like, what else are they willing to do? But no, I agree that they probably would want him dead. I'm sure Tarkin and the rest of the Empire would want him dead.
I'm honestly not sure. I feel like there's still a chance for him to trigger the betrayal when they get to Tantus, thinking maybe this is a shot, maybe if I do right by the Empire right now, maybe I'll have a chance to have my position back, or any position back.
Possibly. It's curious because I don't know how his story is going to end. Anything from he randomly dies, to they just let him go away, to he does try to betray them. I like when I have no idea how a character's story is going to end as we approach a finale like this.
Next comment from Bowen Horn. This episode and last week's episode definitely should have either been released together or cut together to make a longer episode. Would have been much better that way. I think I agree.
Yeah.
Maybe if you took out some of the Omega stuff and you just cut this in and put the Omega stuff maybe with next week's.
It depends. I mean,
kind of go, hey, we're getting to Tantus. I don't know. It's hard to say, but I mean, they got to stop with these silly run times in the first place.
Very short. Like, I actually
22 minutes.
I was very curious, so I actually looked at all the run times of all the episodes, and these last 4 are like 4 of the shortest 6 episodes that the show has ever had. Like, they're particularly short, and you're really like, well, couldn't we chop one out and kind of beef up the other ones, or maybe just beef them up in general?
I mean, they're already only doing 15 episodes this season instead of like 16.
Yeah.
So why not just go down to 14 and beef them up a little?
Yeah. I mean, it's not a huge complaint, but when you get one per week, you really want a little bit more. I know we talked like yesterday or the day before about how we like one episode per week, and then you can discuss, but you need a little more to discuss than sometimes they give us with these episodes.
Next comment from Sitsuifang. Pretty crazy how lax the security was on Coruscant. It was too easy for them to dock onto the station without being on the scheduled arrival list. It was crazy how they were able to just walk around so easily without being recognized, especially Rampart, since he should have had a very recognizable face. I both agree and disagree. I mean, is your security possibly a bit lax because you feel like nobody could ever try something here? You're at Coruscant, the heart of the Empire. Did you really think anyone's going to try anything at the heart of the Empire? Plus, they had clearance codes.
Reminds me of that line from Andor, where, and I'm going to butcher it, but, where you just walk right in and take it because they can't imagine somebody doing that to them.
If you walk the walk and talk the talk, if you look like you belong, why wouldn't they think you belong?
Yeah, and obviously Rampart can pull off an Imperial officer pretty well. He's got some practice. I mean, I do agree to an extent. I think what always bugs me is like the unexpected shuttle showing up that they're like, I guess.
Well, it's Coruscant. This is the main center of the universe.
Yeah. It just comes up so often in Star Wars where it's like, you weren't scheduled, but I guess. Though, I mean, it was an Imperial captain that came out of the shuttle who might be doing some sort of covert mission. This is Coruscant, so you may run into that sort of thing from time to time.
Plus, they had the clearance codes, which they change every day.
You're right, yeah.
Makes it a little harder for them to be like, oh, well, I got in here with codes that are from last week.
Yeah.
No, I have today's code.
Yeah, fair enough.
And we have a captain.
Yeah.
Seems plausible.
It does.
I also, there has to be some sort of suspension of disbelief because you want them to succeed and things have to go.
But the harder it is for them to succeed, the more rewarding it feels when they do. That's why you always want a competent enemy or villain. As I've said a million times before, you're only as heroic as the bad guys you thwart. All right, let's do one final comment here.
Last comment then is going to be from Lee Walker. The show has a lot of story threads to tie up and not much time left to do it. I hope they can stick the landing.
It does feel like a lot, and
I've heard in interviews that they said that they will tie everything off.
Well, of course they're going to say that, but
they've
I'm not doubting them.
I kind of believe them. They've done a lot with this season. They really set us up well last season, and going into this season, they haven't really let us down.
No, certainly they deserve the benefit of the doubt going into the finales here. I wonder, like, things like Ventress. Not that I necessarily want or need her back, but, like, was that really just a one-episode thing? Is that a setup for the next series that we will get payoff down the line?
The actress said that's not the end of Ventress that we're going to see, so it could have just been, here, we're going to drop her in here for one little segment so that you know who this is a little bit before we move forward with the character.
Yeah.
I mean, remember, the Bad Batch, they showed up in a Clone Wars arc. That's where we know them from.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then they got their own show coming from there, so I think they're probably doing the same thing.
No, I agree with that. I guess my biggest fear is that we won't get a lot with the clones. We were talking about that before. Like, we know there's not a lot of them around. So, do we find out why that is?
How many are truly on Tantus?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like we have a lot of time to wrap up kind of the clone arc, though maybe that is carried into the next show, even. If it is Omega's show again, with, Ventress and who else it might be. Certainly that is something that can be answered there. But for now, I think that's all we got for this time. So now it is your turn to take to the comments below and tell us what you think of this week's episode of The Bad Batch, and let's talk some Star Wars. And so, until next time, thanks for watching.